Today on Talking Democracy, I'm pleased to welcome District 111 representative of the Kansas House, Eber Phelps. Kansas is in a state of major change right now. Whether it be in education, agriculture, taxes, or our rights as individuals, these changes impact every one of us. Today we'll discuss the state legislature, state budgets, and find out how decisions will impact us as Kansans. Today we're talking Kansas and talking democracy.
Thanks for the invitation.
We are thrilled to have you here talking about lots of things going in the state right now, but maybe before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about just your current position in the legislature and how you came about to be a representative for Kansas.
Well, I guess the first thing to start out is that I obviously serve in the House of Representatives. I've been representing the 111 district for, this is my 14th year as a matter of fact. And I also serve as the minority whip, so I've been in that leadership position for about, this would be my 10th year in that position. And then, of course, within the, the realm of the legislature, I serve on the House Education Committee. I've been on that, had that role for about 12 years now. And I'm also on the Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security Committee, and I'm on the Aging Long-Term Care Committee. And then one of the easiest committees this session was being on the House Budget Committee, the Legislative Budget Committee, and of course that was one of the first areas just to pretty much say no more spending, and that's with the operation of the legislature. So that was pretty quick order in that regard. But the other committees have been pretty challenging as well.
Yeah. Eber, talk a little bit about how do you choose committees? How does that process work for you?
Well, your committee's assignments are pretty much chosen by the leadership. In the Democrat caucus, what we tend to do is after an election and everybody's now a House member, you then have leadership races. And so a number of years ago I decided to run for whip and become part of the legislative or the House Democrat caucus leadership team. What we do then is have a couple meetings and kind of outline some of the things we want to do. And then you'll learn from the leadership of the Republican Party, the Speaker's office, what committees there's actually going to be, because those can change from one term to the next. Then we will send out a kind of a little questionnaire to members and ask them what their you have 9:30 in the morning committees, you have 1:30 and 3:30. So you'll have members say what their top three choices for a 9:30 committee and what their top choices are for 1:30 and 3:30. And obviously not everybody's going to have their first choice at the 9:30, so you try to accommodate best as possible and get people on those 9:30 committees, which include education and taxation and I believe appropriations. And then if you weren't able to accommodate somebody for their first choice at the 9:30 slot, you try to get maybe at the 1:30 or 3:30. So it's basically chosen by leadership. You try to get people on those committees that have a background. For instance, somebody that's been in agriculture all their life, make a good fit on the agriculture committee, and likewise on the education committee. We've got people that are former educators or currently serving, as teachers in some district around the state, merely on a leave of absence to come to the legislature. So it's all, pretty much done through that process, and we, as I mentioned, we try to accommodate. And of course, those are the standing committees, and then you have joint committees that are with the legislature, and you kind of go through that and try to even match people up to their districts. So if you have somebody that has a number of corrections facilities in their district, they might make a good fit on the joint committee on corrections and juvenile justice. And obviously some of the areas where there's a lot of commercial business, you might have some people from some of the metropolitan areas serving those business committees.
Sure. Well, we'll talk more about what's going on in those committees and what else is going on in the legislature when we come back.
Okay.
I don't really, unless I am interested by something, like the smoking, like restrictions, I guess, recently about like the restaurants and the clubs. That interests me, but that's about it.
Not follow state politics. And I'm just going to say it's probably because I really don't care.
Welcome back to Talking Democracy. We're here with Eber Phelps, the District 111 representative in our Kansas legislature. Welcome, Eber. We talked a little bit about in the first segment about the committees that you serve on and how that process works. I'd like to maybe give you an opportunity to share a little bit more about just what's currently going on in the legislature. Obviously, budgets are being talked about, but there's also things going on in your respective committees that maybe we should share with viewers. So do you want to...
Well, any legislator, I think, that went into this session back in January when they were asked what's going to be the major issues, the kind of the humorous side of that, you said it's going to be the budget, the budget, the budget. Oftentimes we're asked what the top three issues are. And obviously with the, the state economics and so forth, the way they are, everything's kind of, tied to that. So committee-wise, most of that, the committee work's already over. We're on what you call first adjournment, and that took place the week before last. And so we've finished the main part of the session where, the House has heard testimony and worked bills and sent them over to the Senate. Likewise, the Senate has worked bills and sent them over to the House. And then both chambers have looked at each other's bills, and they either agree or they can make amendments to them, and then that goes into a conference committee. And once that is all that work's done, and there's agreement between both chambers, those bills go to the governor's office. And of course, when we go on first adjournment, that's the end of what we call non-exempt bills. And so those, quite a few went to the governor's desk in those last few days of the session, commonly known as drop dead week. But right now we're on this break, and of course people have asked, why is there this long break between first adjournment and when we go back for what's known as the wrap-up or the veto session? And the reason for that is there's quite a few bills. When I say, quite a few, I'm not sure the exact number, but oftentimes it can be, nearly 100 bills. And the governor's just not going to sign those.
Sure.
He's going to have his legal staff look through all those bills and make sure the wording is correct. They're also going to look at the fiscal note. So he's going to have his budget division look over all the bills and verify the fiscal note. And obviously that's a very key thing. And we've had some mistakes on those in the past. But nonetheless, they're going to look over, and then he'll either take three different actions. He'll either sign the bill into law, which he's done quite a few thus far. And he can also veto a bill, and he's done just a handful of those. Or sometimes the governor will not even sign a bill, maybe doesn't like it, doesn't really hate it, but he's just saying what the heck and let it go into law by itself. And so when the governor does that, doesn't sign it, I think it's about 10 days later, it'll actually automatically become law. Now, what's happening right now, though, is we do have some non-exempt bills, and of course those are your budget bills.
Sure.
And also your taxation bills, and we will go back here to the session and work on those. Now, this is unique compared to previous sessions in that we went on that first adjournment. Not only had we not passed a budget bill in the House or the Senate, neither one had